Yo, yo, yo,
Booyah,
what's going on?
booyah, booyah, booyah.
What's
We
going on,
are
man?
back. Oh man,
We
it's
are.
it's a beautiful thing. It's been a minute,
Yeah,
T-Mitch. What's happening with
doing well, man. The heat waves going on up here, and just enjoying the summer break. It's nice to sometimes step away and be able to
yeah.
enjoy life. Enjoy the country, the world, get out and do some stuff. So, no, man, it's great to be back and go over some nerd stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, as the kiddies say, we outside. You know what I'm saying?
We
We
are.
outside.
We've been. We
You
have.
gotta stay outside to keep active. It's hot out there. So even if you're not getting all that good heat and everything, hopefully you're
For
on
sure.
some good break stuff with the family, friends, whatever that you're doing.
For sure.
To get that outside element going on, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. It's been great. So yeah, like I said, can't wait to get dive into this, man. This has been art for me. I can't speak for everybody, but I mean, this has been a busy I guess 2.5, 3 months. Summer season of movies. I think it kicked off for me with Mission Impossible and things like that in May, and then I just rode
Oh
it through
man.
the Jurassic Parks and all that stuff. So, bro, I had all those, those eight. We talked about it with the Cinemark rewards. I had all those tickets just adding up. I'm like, bro, I got to start seeing stuff. So, you know?
So you actually got like a subscription or like a
Oh
membership and
yeah,
everything to like
yeah,
no,
yeah,
okay, all right. So
yeah. So
you're at the show pretty much every week or every other week, huh?
I try to go every couple weeks, but it has to be something like the ballerina. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff, man. I was because I didn't
Yeah,
go in the spring
yeah.
really, so I had like I think like 7 or 8 free tickets. So I was just like started
Oh,
going
okay,
like
okay.
every couple weeks. So
Okay, all right. Well, that's what's up. Let's get some house cleaning out the way. This is Nerd Cyclopedia flick show, or rarely seen flick show, but hopefully you'll be seeing a whole lot
for
more of
sure,
that.
for
Where we
sure.
talk about things other than Star Wars. We
Yep.
talk about nerd culture. We talk about like movie stuff. Pop culture, TV shows, and everything. Today we're going to be talking about like Fantastic Four, just to get like some house cleaning out the way. You can reach us at all our .coms at nerdcyclopedia.com. We are on Facebook, Twitter, not Twitter, X. I'm getting it together, T Mitch.
For
I'm getting
sure.
it
We're getting
together.
there.
Facebook,
We're getting
X,
there.
TikTok, all your favorite social media platforms at Nerdcyclopedia. I'm at DP Brown, at Dow Brown Brown. So make sure that you follow me there. I'm also coming up with some really good stuff here. So I want to actually share
Yeah.
my let me see what we got going on here. So let me share like some
Yeah.
content I got
Please.
going on and everything. You know, your boy is coming out with another Kickstarter. The Theme of Thieves book
Oh,
one.
we are.
Oh, this is the Crazy Man Returns trade paperback coming soon. So it'll be coming out early. The Kickstarter will be coming out early October, running for 30, 35 days and everything. So basically, doing a Kickstarter for this trade paperback, it collects the first 4 issues that was in store last year. If you know anything about the Theme of Thieves, it's about 2 teens and a mysterious being, that guy right there, and a man in the red suit. They're traveling through time and they're trying to solve a mystery why people are disappearing in the present. So if you like Lost, if you like Quantum Leap, if you like The Wire, make sure that you go to this um, Kickstarter webpage, and I'll have links in the show notes and everything to make sure that you follow this, so we could get as many people on board as possible for the trade paperback. I officially got them all together and everything. So, just wanted to share that with you.
That's good
Um,
stuff, man.
and again, you could make sure that you just follow us, everywhere. Every anytime that we're on, that we're on. So we're just getting it together. So let's dig into it. Let's get into like the Fantastic Four,
For
and
sure, man.
what are we thinking about? What was your initial impressions before you got to see this movie and everything with like the trailers and the previews? Did you have
Mm.
any expectations of going into it of how you think it was going
Well,
to be, teammate?
um, I wouldn't say I was highly anticipating this movie. I thought it'd be a good movie because, I mean, even with the comic book adaptations, um, there's not really a lot of action, you know what I mean, with the characters. Fantastic Four is a lot of story, a lot of dialogue, some fun stuff in there, but they're not, traditional, I would say, traditional Marvel kind of, comic book characters. The way, as strong as the Thing is, and as strong as Johnny is, like, there's not a lot of action acrobatics. So going into this, I just thought it'd be a pretty cool movie, pretty subdued, which is understandable based on the characters and kind of how they are. But no, I went an even kill and was extremely, extremely surprised on how good it was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much the same way. I'm not a big Fantastic Four fan, so
Yeah,
I
same,
remember the
same. So I
first
was,
two. I remember the first two movies. That came out back in like the aughts, was it? Yeah, around the aughts and
yeah,
everything.
yep, hmm,
The first Fantastic Four, and then the Rise of the Silver Surfer. I remember the Silver Surfer one I was really excited about just to get to see
yeah,
another Marvel character on the screen and everything, and it turned out to be not a really great movie
yeah,
once you
yeah.
really got into it, or at least I didn't really like it, And then the
No,
disappointment with Galactus at the end and everything, just being a puff of smoke. So it
right.
really wasn't, too great. The the ones that was made, I think, in 2013 or 14 or whatever. I
Yep,
forget what
that's the
they.
last
Anyway,
adaptation.
with
Yeah,
with Michael B. Jordan, it's amazing because that movie had stars. You had Michael B.
yeah,
Jordan. You had the Rooney and everything, Kate Rooney and everything, I believe.
yeah.
And then you had the one other actor. He's like really good and popular and
But didn't they
everything.
have what was her name? Justin Timberlake's old girlfriend or whatever? Wasn't she Sue Storm?
No, 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 no. That was you're
Was that
thinking
the first
about
one?
no, no. So you're thinking about Jessica Alba. You're
Yeah.
getting the wrong Jessica.
Uh,
The other Jessica. That's Justin Timberlake's.
okay.
One and everything. Jessica
Yeah.
Alba was in the first ones and everything.
Okay. Yeah. That's there. We go. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah,
It's been
yeah.
that long.
But
Wow.
yeah, that turned out to be not a really great movie, So from the guy that made Chronicle and stuff, he thought he
Yeah.
would, have another hit, but it turned out not to be the case and stuff. And then this movie, it's like I said, I'm not really a big Fantastic Four fan, but the
Hmm.
thing that caught me was the visual aspects of it being taking place in like the 60s. That had that retro
Yeah.
futuristic,
For
60s
sure.
stuff. So I was like, okay, this is a different way to go about it. I mean, it makes sense for the character because they're at their most popular height. When they were at their height, it was back in the 60s. I don't think they've been, as popular ever since and stuff. But when they first appeared back in the 60s, that's when they were at their height. And it made sense for this movie to really cast that type of atmosphere and stuff. So that really caught
Right.
me, and it really got me excited about having to be back into the MCU hands, at Marvel Studio hands versus like
Right.
other studios hands like Fox.
No, and I agree. I mean, even like you're saying, the color tones of that 60s, it made their uniforms more comic book accurate, right? Like it to me, this was an adaptation of a comic directly, and that's what I kind of liked about it. Because like you said, I'm not going to profess to be the world's largest Fantastic Four fan. I've seen it. I've watched more of the animated stuff, as we're a little maybe older than most some of our audience. But yeah, I'm used to a lot of the Hanna-Barbera Fantastic Four. So which is cool that they showed the homage in the bonus trailer or whatever. But yeah, that's the Fantastic Four I kind of grew up on. So I was really pleasantly surprised, like you said, that retro futuristic. And you can tell. I mean, the other two are made by Fox, right?
Yeah,
That's Fox. I mean,
yeah,
you
they
can
were all
really
made by
tell
Fox.
that they took their time with this. I mean, the time frame, because when you kind of take it back to the time frame they should be in based on the Fox stuff that was more current. Um,
Hmm.
this isn't really part of this show today, but I will say based on what I see with the adaptation and the time frames, if anything, this makes me extremely excited for X-Men because what I see what Fox did and how they, you know what I mean, even with the X-Men, they made it more
Yeah,
current. So now I
right.
see what they do with the Fantastic Four and kind of retroed it back. Even when we saw
Hmm.
Wolverine and Deadpool, this just makes me excited more and more for even like the Doctor Dooms and a lot of these characters that the comic book adaptations. I just think like I said, post I guess COVID, when Bob Iger got back in and Feige started talking with the Russos and everything, I can see this whole Marvel thing has been done a massive 180. Um, so yeah, no, it's like I said, the introduction to the show. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised with the movie. And you're right, visually, this thing was amazing. Like, we'll get into that, like the look of
Yeah.
Galactus. Like, bro, this you saw it in IMAX, correct? Or I know I had the D-box
Yeah.
seat as well, like you, but
I didn't get a chance to see it. I mean, I saw it in regular, like, the
just the
regular
digital,
theater. So I
whatever.
didn't get a
Yeah,
chance to see the IMAX because it got like um, it got sold out by the time I got my tickets and
oh,
stuff.
right. Oh yeah, this thing was amazing to see. Like,
Yeah, I bet. I mean, the for the fact that you had like the main Fantastic Four characters and they had the chance to throw in like Herbie the robot and stuff, I was like, super impressed that they was able to even go that route. Adding the fifth the quote unquote fifth member and stuff,
right.
that was in like the TV shows and everything. Because I think
Hmm.
the thing back in the 70s when the show came out, they couldn't really use the Human Torch because
Right.
of like they was afraid kids was gonna like light themselves on fire and
Exactly.
everything, so
Yeah.
they had to
Hmm.
think of another character. So they came up with the Herbie the robot and stuff. And I was glad for them to actually put that into the movie and everything. I made it pretty cool. But
Yeah.
what did you think about like the characterization of like the members? Like what did you think about this version of Reed?
I mean, I was skeptical going into it about
Mm-hmm.
Pedro. I think like most were, but I thought I mean, he played the part well. I mean, I don't know. Everybody wanted Krasinski. Maybe he had the look of maybe like your traditional, I guess, Mr. Fantastic, because he kind of has a more skinnier face and kind of taller. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought the characters were extremely, were accurate as far as the time frames. The thing, it's one of those things like. I think he looks good. A lot of people thought he wasn't like as chubby. Like I said, they made these figures a lot more, to me, like just more not comic. Not don't say comic book accurate, but more like more realistic to be able to do
Mm-hmm.
maneuver and do things. Right? I mean, granted, I'm not. I didn't see too many back like back scene stuff. Was he all AI or was that an actual costume on a thing, or was he like green screened?
So yeah, if you've seen the behind the scenes stuff, that
I
was
didn't watch any of it.
Edmund Bacharach and everything.
Yeah.
Who
Hmm.
played the one character, and so they had like the suit,
Oh yeah, the
the
dots on
black
them and
suit with
stuff.
the dots and on and everything. So
Gotcha.
that was him doing
So
all the motions and stuff.
yeah, so motion
And they did
capture. Yeah.
CGI like
So yeah,
the thing stuff on him.
that makes sense. Cause yeah, he wasn't like real kind of like short, chubby. His head was like I said, they were all more like more lean. So I enjoyed it.
Hmm.
I mean, now we'll get into it, but obviously Sue Storm sold the show, really. I mean, but ultimately she at the end of the day, like regardless of people say, the women, alpha, whatever, alpha women and all this. If anybody knows anything of this Fantastic Four, which I don't know much, but I can tell you she's always been the strongest member of the team. Like literally.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
She's
she's the I mean, considering that you got the one guy who only just does the fire stuff. You got a strong
correct.
guy, who is strong as heck. He's not any
Right.
Superman or anything
He's
like
not, yeah, but he's not
Incredible
really
Hulk.
mobile.
You
Yeah, he's
know,
not mobile. He can't
Mm-mm,
jump real
no,
high.
no,
He's just strong in a
no.
rock.
He's just super strong and everything. Reed
Yeah.
only stretches. He got his
Right.
brain, but that's not really a superpower if you say.
Correct.
So Sue Storm, yes, she's the Invisible Woman. So she has like the stuff. She can hold stuff for like really long time. Really she's a really strong. Really has a really strong power set and everything. So it
Right.
makes sense that she's the most powerful member. And ended up being in the movie where she ends up having the strongest personality out of all of
Right. Which makes sense. I mean, it's Reed is kind of like you're saying the brains. He's more of that kind of the Tony Starkish type character. He's more of the
them.
scientist
Hmm.
stuff. So I thought, like I said, that was really accurate. It was really cool. But you're right. Like the car, as far as the power levels and stuff, the Reed Richards stuff, like what is he really going to do? Um, Just got a comment in from Game Freakness. I thought the movie was too quick, not enough villain screen time. You know what? We can get into that too. I agree with that. When I sat down, I it's crazy because now that I sit back and think about it a little bit, that first 25 minutes, the it kind of so I guess that's my only negative. The first 25 minutes kind of lost me as far as there was just a lot of like world building. So the first
Hmm.
25 minutes was kind of slow, and then by the time it picked pace up a little bit when we kind of get the first notion of the threat coming, yeah, the villain screen time. I mean, Galactus for what happened to him, that was fairly quick. But yeah, the pacing to me was a little bit off. It started super, super slow, and then it just kind of like was like boom, boom, and like we were out of there. And I remember it because I looked at the runtime. We left. I was like, dude, it's like barely
It,
two
it
hours.
was
I was like,
it just came and went.
yeah,
People talk about like these movies having like such long run times and everything. This movie, people were actually complaining
right,
about there should have been more time,
right,
to some characters to let them just be because they just kept going from plot to plot to plot to plot and everything, and not giving everything much screen time and stuff. And like Friedman said, the screen time of Galactus wasn't as much as it should have been and everything, but the stuff
no,
they did show of him, especially
yeah,
when he was in space, oh my goodness.
yeah,
My boy and everything, he got kind of scared and he was like, no, I'm not I'm he was like, I can't watch because Galactus eyes were just like lighting up and
right,
everything. He looked so crazy strong and spooky and stuff. And when he got Earth, it was a whole different kaiju type of thing, which was cool. But I
yeah,
always imagine Galactus being just up, just the largest thing possible.
right,
Just going up against like different villains and stuff. So I wish they had a lot more time with the guy and developed him as a character a lot better. But I mean, I can see why they did what they did in the movie just to get him
right.
across.
Yeah, even on the second comment, Silver Surfer should have done more. She barely did anything, and she barely did anything to Earth. I think honestly, the Silver Surfer stuff. I think personally, from the backlash of having the female variant of the Silver Surfer, I thought that they did a good job trying to mitigate. The waters. I think that's what it was. I think that Silver Surfer probably, if we look at other scripts, had a bigger part, bigger backstory, bigger say. But I think due to the time frame we live in now and the sensitivity of people not being open to, I would say comic book lore because that's all you can say. A lot of these people who comment don't
Right.
understand comic books. There's other variants. I mean, we'll see when Green Lantern comes out. There's like 13 million Green Lanterns, but we know that there'll
Oh
be
yeah, yeah.
other colors and other things. So yeah, we'll hear when that comes out. But yeah, I think the Silver Surfer, they probably had more plans for her. Same thing with Galactus, Freakness. I think honestly it came down to, and Bob Iger touched it, it's the budgets. They're cutting budgets, and that the CGI and the stuff that what I mean. I think it took in order to get more Galactus. Because yeah, I'm sure we wanted to see him be a little more active, do a little bit more. I think it comes down to budgets. I think
I
that's
mean,
why
you
they
you
changed.
had two, you had two big budget
We
characters in
did
it. Well, I mean, all of them was like big budget
right,
characters and
but
stuff
I
with the
mean,
special
but
effects. But with
yeah,
Silver Surfer, you had to animate her, do the CGI of
right,
her, and then she ended up just really dropping out on a movie, like Friedman said about her not really doing much on Earth and stuff. No, we really got her stuff when they was doing a scene in space after Galactus when Galactus sent her after them, just before the had the baby and everything. But
yeah,
we got that great chase scene. A lot of people like to
right,
chase
yeah,
stuff, so we got the surfer doing the surfer stuff. If
right,
you're a big fan of Silver Surfer, then you could definitely appreciate the chase scene. But I thought a lot of her stuff was pretty good. For what it was, we got to see a background of her.
right,
Ball and everything, and how
right,
she became the Silver Surfer, what Galactus did to her planet and everything, or what she had to do to sacrifice,
correct, yeah,
so she can save her planet and everything. She came to Earth and pretty much just said that you guys are about to die. Galactus is about to eat your planet. And they was like, well, okay, are you the one that's choosing these planets and stuff? Why did he
Right.
choose us? We didn't really get an answer as to what chose that Earth as a planet. Just something that was just in the way. But why did Silver Surfer choose Earth instead of like another planet? Was just did she have a
Yeah.
list or something like that? What was going on and
Yeah.
everything?
Well, I think the main cop out of that was the whole Franklin Richards thing that makes it like, because I like I said, there's a lot of now theories that come out as far as even in the Star Wars world, how was Anakin Skywalker created? There's now a
Hmm.
lot of there's not a lot of questions as far as, was Franklin Richards created naturally via Sue and Reed, or was he created by a cosmic entity?
Mm.
So that's kind of the MacGuffin up in the air right now that they're talking about with Doomsday and the whole Franklin Richards character. And as we've
Hmm.
seen with this movie, they're keeping a lot of cards close to their chest with Marvel. It's crazy they're leaking all the Spider-Man stuff out. Like I'm seeing literally film clips every day. So I don't know what's going on. They've never done this traditionally, but they're leaking a lot of set stuff. I mean, for this Spider-Man New Day,
Yeah, yeah,
like a lot of
they're hyping
it's
that.
strange. Yeah, it's strange. It's
They
actually
are.
like leaking
I'm
active set
I'm
stuff. Like,
I'm just shocked the Punisher is in a Spider-Man movie. I mean, I know he first appeared in a Spider-Man comic and everything, but I'm just shocked
yeah,
this version of Punisher is appearing in the John Bernthal
right,
version of
exactly.
Punisher, one with
Well,
Tom Holland. I mean, how does
that's what I'm
that
saying. So,
how does that
I
mix?
mean, he's a rated R character. So yeah, I hope that they don't like do
Yeah.
some like corny, like you know
I,
what I mean, like.
yeah,
But I don't know. I
yeah,
mean, I've been
yeah.
seeing the F bomb on Disney Plus, and they're not rated R and stuff. So I mean, who knows? Maybe the rating
Hmm.
society has changed because there's a couple things. I watched Daredevil and I was shocked at the dialogue in that and some of the stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, and as he says, I agree if they're open to it. Freakness. The crazy thing is, and me and DP will tell you this, like we're extremely open to this stuff in these discussions. These are discussions we have typically, but we just live, like I said, in a society now that's and I tell DP and our guys at Carbonite Bounty this all the time. Like, I think the biggest issue, and you're right with this, with the Super Mario movie, is and I don't know about your showing, DP, but I've been saying this like for like the last probably 7 years.
Hmm.
Marvel's really picked up. The problem
Hmm.
that Disney is doing is, even with Star Wars, they're catering too much to new fans, and new fans are not coming to see these movies. Like, I didn't see any kids to see Fantastic Four. It was all like us. They're comic book
Like,
fans.
yeah,
I
like the
mean,
adults. Right.
a
Yeah.
younger
Right.
audience does not care,
Yeah.
but they keep trying to
Yeah.
cater to them. And the problem is like Freakness, myself, you, what
Yeah.
it does, it
Yeah.
turns me off,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
just you're catering
Yeah.
to somebody who's not paying the money. I'm paying to see it. So don't worry about them. Worry about the people who care.
It's
That's what
it's
makes
it's it's it was called American capitalism. They made all that
it.
money during Endgame and everything, and they're still trying to chase that high, thinking, okay, we need to cater to everybody, and then
Correct.
you end up pleasing nobody. And everything,
Correct.
Freeness was talking about, Chris Pratt and the Super Mario. Not people not really, looking at him as a, being a Mario movie. I mean, how many times have we like if we go back to Michael Keaton Batman and everything, he was Mr. Mom. People were just like, there's no way you can have Michael Keaton as Batman. And look, you know, in the
Right.
movie, box office gold and everything. That's one of the most classic Batman movies of all time and everything. His first movie and stuff. So, you just have to let movies be good movies, like Friedman said, and let
Correct.
stuff play out. Now, the
Yeah.
problem nowadays is that everybody has a platform, including us in
Correct.
CFS. We got a platform to actually,
Yeah.
express our opinions. But when we express it, we see all the trailers, we see everything that comes to
Right.
pass in articles and stuff. So we have opinions before the stuff actually gets made and put out. So we don't know how
Yeah.
the end product is going to be until it actually comes, but we have all these opinions formed before it actually hits. And then when it
Right.
does hit, and then we like it or don't like it and everything, then we make the judgment then. And
Yeah.
a lot of people had the problems with Silver Surfer. Now they're liking the version, that was on
Correct.
screen. Some people were pushing back, but they're now liking, this version because they actually see the movie and the movie's being, good, for what it is and stuff. But I mean, I totally agree. Like, what you said, T Mitch, it's been so many times where all this stuff, all this controversy, all these opinions just happen, and then you let the stuff play out, and then if a movie just happens, and it's good, then it is what it is.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it's just, and that's always my problem with all this stuff. Like I said, and it started before COVID. That they just try, and I get it, right? I understand from a business perspective. You want to try to expand as much as you can, but like I said, I think we're in a difficult, and like I said, that's why I don't feel superhero fatigue. I just want superhero
I'll never
stories.
feel it.
No, but I don't want them to like take these other routes and try to do things to try to appease a fan base or a customer segment that they're never going to get. My children are never going to feel the same way that I felt that when
Right,
I seen
right,
this stuff.
right,
And I
right,
know it
right.
because I'll be in a theater and they'll be in their phone like this. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, what are you doing? All this goodness is on the screen,
exactly.
and
Like,
my kids are just like, whatever, whatever. I tell you one thing. I mean, this is getting off. I think the next big thing when this manga anime stuff just really pops, it's gonna wipe all this stuff off the screen. It's all
yeah,
popping now on the small stuff,
it
but it
is.
hasn't
Yeah,
even reached the big screen yet. When it actually pops, and
yeah,
the younger ones actually get of age where they're contributing more financially to society. They have kids and
right,
all that stuff. They'll get our age, take their
right.
families. They're not going to be taking them to see superhero stuff. They're going to be taking them
No,
to see like the anime manga stuff right on screen.
you're right.
And it's just a
He's
whole
like,
nother thing for them, you know?
yeah, you're right. I mean, that they kind of this younger generation is hell bent on Japanese culture. I mean, the way they dress now,
Hmm.
it's just they. So you're right. When they start doing these live adaptations of whatever Attack on Titan things like that, and they just really start
Yeah.
taking off your
Da, da,
and
da,
and
da.
that's but that's really they should be focusing on. Leave this to us because, like I
Hmm.
said, we're the
Yeah.
consumers. I mean, bro,
Yeah.
who was
Yeah. Make it,
they sold out
it
of
for us.
they sold out of $80 fucking popcorn buckets. Like, let's just be honest,
Hey,
bro.
I was this close to buying me a
$80.
Galactus bucket. I was this close. I was like
I was gonna buy
$80.
it.
I don't know if I
Yeah,
could do it. I don't know if
bro.
I can do it, but it looks
I was gonna
good.
do it.
It
They were
looks
sold
so good,
out.
and that's a collectible. Yeah,
It
yeah,
was.
yeah.
But they were
I know
sold
you would
out.
have got it. I know you would have got it if it wasn't sold out.
But no, they were selling it before, but they were selling it when we went to see Superman. They had it out. I seen it,
That's
but I was
crazy.
like
That's
$80.
crazy.
I was like, let me think about it, and then I'll come back maybe if it's still here when the movie comes out. Then I walked in literally, and they were like, yeah, it's sold out. And I was like, you got to be kidding me! It's $80. Like who's $80 sold
That's
out? They're like,
crazy.
yeah. They're
It
like, we
is.
sold out of it 2 weeks ago. Like, I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah, that was pretty much how it was like
bro.
everywhere. They had the display, but they couldn't sell like
Oh, you couldn't,
the
yeah,
thing and
but you
everything.
couldn't. You can't even eat out of it. Have you seen it? Somebody had one like open, like he had it on display there. He bought it, and I was like, yeah, bro, you can't even eat out of it. It's just like buying one of
Yeah,
these Black Series Hasbro helmets. Like,
yeah, yeah,
come
yeah. I
on,
mean, it looked crazy. I mean, I watched a
bro.
YouTube of how to put it together, and it was crazy stuff. But
Yeah,
Freakness is saying, Game Freakness is saying that I was caught up in the action. I forgot a girl. It didn't need like you said. If the story is good, it's good. I mean,
yeah,
I like the movie. The movie. I'm not thinking about like the politics of characters and stuff. That's not what I'm thinking
no,
about. I want to be entertained. I want to be,
right.
just taken into like the moment. I paid my $15 to $20 for the
For
ticket
sure,
and
yeah, or
everything. So
$20. Oh
I
yeah,
I, I, I don't want to be, having to be bogged down by any like, outside politics and stuff. Give me a good
correct,
story, and I'll make the judgment after that because I'm the one that paid if the movie is good or not.
correct.
So if they didn't entertain me, then I'll make the judgment based on that, not anything
Yeah,
else. So
and that's what I feel. One of the things, Freakness, if you're watching our channel for the first time, appreciate it. But yeah, I can say one
yeah,
of the
thank
things
you
that we
for
say
watching.
here. Definitely. We say here that we're not yet one of these mainstream channels, but like they're like we don't have narratives. I'm not on nobody's payroll. Like our opinions are always open. We don't there's no gender bias or racial bias. I mean, like you said, if the movie is good, I don't care. Like we've had, and you can go back and watch some of our previous shows. We don't care. I mean, like we talk about variants and this and that, and we'll see when we get to Doomsday. I mean, we who knows what, right? I mean, we're there. People are crying because we talked about this a few months ago. Bro, Captain America bombed, and the only reason he bombed is because it was a black person and it wasn't Steve Rogers. Like, come on, bro. The movie was
Well,
all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay, just fucking
It's
get
been a
past that.
the
It was a good movie. It was
hey,
safe.
we'll talk about it in another podcast, but
It
it
was
was
safe.
just okay. It was not
It was
great,
it was
but
safe, man. I loved it.
it wasn't Anthony Mackie's fault that it was not good. That was Marvel's fault, So
Well, they had to say
that
it
was a
was.
whole thing.
It was a safe
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
We talked about it when we saw it.
It could have been, yeah. Once we get into our Captain America pod, because we got like a whole bunch of other movies to like, we're
Yeah,
stocked up and backed up that
we will.
that we
So
need to
yeah,
talk about and everything. So we'll get to that point. But as
and
far as like Fantastic Four, it was a it was a it was a good watch. I was entertained, throughout like the whole thing. Love like the end thing, the end scene, where we get. What do you think about Franklin Richards? That's what I wanted to ask you about.
Franklin. So like I said, I don't know a lot about him. I like I said, I'm used to the traditional stuff, but some of the stuff I read up on because I try to do a little bit of homework and research after I watched the movie. I mean, the character was cool, right? And the fact that he has cosmic powers, like it makes his power
Mm-hmm.
level to me like it's to me it's getting a little confusing right now because we have these power levels like we kind of talk about on the show like when we look at the Dragon Ball Z kind of like power scale and how things play out, but like I just feel like these
Mm-hmm.
beings now we're at cosmic like, so then where does that put him in compared to someone like we'll say Captain Marvel, right, who's like not cosmic, but she's basically like the strongest probably Avenger we've seen yet. But then you have
Mm-hmm.
then um who's the guy that got saved from the Guardians of the Galaxy? Will Poulter's character. He's cosmic level. Adam Warlock.
Adam,
Adam Warlock.
yeah, Adam
So
Warlock. Yeah.
Adam
Mm-hmm.
Warlock would kind of be at that level, but then Franklin Richards now is cosmic, so he's closer to like I guess a Beyonder. So that would make him, as of now, probably the strongest character. Outside of like I said, I don't know what power Doom will have coming into this. I'm guessing that he's going to use Franklin to take out the Beyonders and get that power to be like the world or God Doom or whatever, however they want to roll it out. I'm actually reading those
You
comics right
you
now.
you 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 think we're going to get into the Beyonders by the time we get to Doomsday and Secret Wars? You think we're going to get Beyonders?
Well, I think so for the first one, Doomsday, yeah, they're going to have to for him to be that strong. I'm guessing he's going to use Franklin to get there because they're going to Loki to destroy the TVA. We know that for sure. So,
Hmm.
and this is after Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars and story. So I'm actually reading those
Hmm.
comics now. So yeah,
The
so
what Battle
they
World and yeah.
correct.
Hmm.
So they're kind of that's the depiction they're going. So I'm actually reading those now, and I that's what they said they're kind of doing a spin on that. So yeah, I mean, like you said, the whole, I mean, the fact that he saved his mom, I don't know if that using his cosmic powers, if it was just more of a heart reset, or maybe that's something to even power up
Hmm.
Sue Storm a little bit more. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
um, sometimes you
We
know how
don't
they
know
get that like
exactly.
what that did to her.
Yeah, I was about to say we don't know exactly how powerful they're going to make Franklin, but I think they were teasing the fact that he's a very powerful character based on him basically bringing Sue back to life at
Well,
the
that
end.
and remember that's the reason Galactus wanted Earth was him because he wanted to
Mhm. Right.
essentially escape his prison. Kind of like the whole
But
Mephisto
Gal-
thing. To,
but Galactus never gave like a reason as to why he just wanted to. But so it was
I
just
didn't
like a guess,
understand that.
audience guess.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's another thing where the movie failed, not giving reasons as to motivations as to what's going on. So okay, you want the baby, but why do you want the baby so bad? Or
Well,
why
all he
want
said
the
is he wanted
baby to
he wanted
replace?
him to replace him, but like you said, it didn't say like so. From our understanding, then kind of like the cheap adaptation, what they said of Galactus was he was some kind of I don't know being that was a person. He
Hmm.
had a name, and
Right.
he signed some kind of deal, whatever, to be in prison to be this person that loves to eat worlds. So I guess at some point in his life of doing this, he's had a moment to where like kind of like Mephisto, he like wants to make a deal with somebody to change, or like kind of not Mephisto, but more of a Ghost Rider, right? He wants to make
Yeah,
that
yeah,
deal,
like
that
he's
a
like a cursed.
contract.
He's a cursed
Correct.
spirit and everything, and he's
Yes.
cursed with his hunger that he wants to get
Correct.
rid of because we did get the intimation that that he wanted to pass off to somebody else and
Correct.
stuff. You know,
Yeah. So
so
that was
that
really,
was that
yeah.
was
So it would have
something.
been nice to maybe like we said get maybe 10, 15 minutes, kind of like they did with the Surfer, right? Of kind of like a little more
Hmm.
backstory into the Galactus character, but yeah, it was one of those movies that, like I said, by the time you blinked, like it was over. Like the
Yeah, yeah.
but
Um,
I
and
was
free.
happy with it.
Yeah, it was cool. Freeness, he's a aspiring writer, and he rewrote Happy Gilmore too. I just seen that. I just seen Happy Gilmore. I never seen Happy Gilmore one, but my wife made me watch Happy Gilmore two. And I was just like, okay, what is this?
Oh, boy.
It was
Oh,
super silly, and it was just like and it was on Netflix too. I was like, okay,
yeah.
so if it's a Netflix movie and it's not actually in the movies, then
How good is it going to
I have
be? I
to
don't know though.
how
Netflix
good
has
is
been
it really going to be and everything.
was it
Yeah,
good? Because
yeah, they
Netflix has
come
been
out with
spending
some
big
good
money.
stuff, but
They've been spending big
mm,
money.
yeah,
I
they
don't know.
do. So
Yeah.
it was okay. It wasn't laugh out loud, which I heard the first one was, but so I actually got to go back and check that one out. Yeah, so Game Freakness, we don't usually get people outside of the show on the show, but I mean that's actually an idea. Whatever plan.
We
So
can
we'll
definitely,
be in
yeah,
touch. We'll let
we
you
can
know
look
and
into that.
everything.
And outside of this, if you see DP's hashtag there, he's a writer as well, so he'd be a good contact. He has obviously, as you, if you saw from the beginning, the Theme of Thieves comics, he's written his own comic. He has a actual book adaptation coming out, so yeah, he's a great resource as far as if you're aspiring to get into this. He's somebody to definitely link up with, and he can give you some
Oh
pointers
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
some
If you
pointers
want me to
about.
give a quick plug again and everything,
You know, please, yeah, show him again.
what you say? You say? Yeah, here we go. So this is the Theme of Thieves trade paperback that's coming out in early October, the Kickstarter. So I'll be making sure everyone knows about that. Yes, so I'm the writer and creator of this comic, The Theme of Thieves. It's about two teens traveling through time and they're trying to solve a mystery of why people are disappearing in the present. So, like I said, if you're a big Quantum Leap fan, Lost, The Wire is a really good read, and it's really great too, especially if you are an inspiring writer to really get a gander of how people put their stuff together and actually get it out there to the people because I started in the Kickstarter realm and everything, and that's how I ended up getting my stuff in the comic book stores. I got like all four issues successfully out in comic shops last year and everything. So that was a really great, turning point. I'm actually doing like a novel, for stories that happen in the Theme of Thieves and everything, a spinoff novel and everything. So I just
Look at
got
this
finished with the
guy.
manuscript as far as that. Hey, dog, I'm trying. I'm
Universe,
trying.
this guy, universe building,
I'm
like
using
it's
yeah, universe building and just
is world
trying to
building. Look at
just
this.
trying to make it happen. Everything. So it's basically getting yourself in that mode. Okay, you got it on paper, so now you get it to get find a way to get it out to the people, and that's what I'm basically. I'll be doing a lot of more stuff on my individual channel, motivating and talking about that. As you can see at Dog Pound Brown, but getting back to Fantastic Four.
Right.
I thought, like I said, it was a real solid movie. What do you think about like the end credit scene with Doctor Doom and um,
The Franklin
Franklin?
stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I mean, I knew about all this, most of this stuff. You know me, I'm early, so I kind of had a good synopsis. You know, I've gotten contact with a lot more of my industry contacts as I had before that but I don't leak stuff to you guys anymore. But yeah, it was cool to see. Obviously, the mask. I don't know. I was expecting a little bit. I wanted more like the kind of like the rivets in it and stuff, but we'll see what the final look of it looks like. But the cloak was cool. I mean, if you guys don't know, like Doctor Doom is probably like my favorite, probably one of my like my favorite characters. Like I just like him.
Hmm.
He's cool as hell, you know. I don't know what they'll do with him. I don't know if they're going to do the whole Wakanda vibranium thing as far as his
Hmm.
armor. So
Hmm.
it was because they did a lot various stuff that was kind of the tease. So I didn't know, like I said, what backstory we'll get in Doomsday, like how much we'll get of
Yeah.
the character building, because you know that's a kind of an Avengers level event, and the Russo said it's like
Hmm.
3 hours and 15 minutes, 3 hours and 20 minutes. So it's one of those things I suggest people don't buy a drink because you'll be have to piss and you don't want to leave. So yeah, it's one of those movies like that I
I
just
mean,
don't know
yeah,
how they're going to fit all this in there.
yeah, it's a lot of stuff. I really kind of wish that they had did, and this is just like my own personal preference. They had did like a Latveria type movie first to
Yeah,
build the
or just
character up,
just drip feed like they
before
did
they
Thanos.
just.
They
I
should have
mean, they.
dripped him a little more.
uh,
Your mic muted. There you are.
to make it up, bring it up to this next Avengers movie, and the fact that we didn't even have any type of Avengers movie
No,
since Endgame. We have no idea who the Avengers are. And if you want to talk about Thunderbolts and stuff being a new Avengers, that's fine, but that's not really that
did
really
we
doesn't
did we
exist.
did we even talk about that? To be honest, bro,
Yeah, yeah, we didn't talk about that. We'll
we
talk
did.
about it. Like I said, we got a backlog of movies we need to talk about. So we'll get to
I know
talking
I'm
about
saying though. Did we do a review for Thunderbolts? I don't
no, yeah,
remember.
we didn't do a Thunderbolts review yet.
Thank
So
God.
that's
Yeah,
something that we'll
thank
get to.
God.
But
Yeah, we'll get to that.
we'll get to that. But we're on Fantastic Four right now. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
yeah,
I thought they should have dripped a lot more stuff leading up to Doomsday.
bro. There's
And
one more movie now that's rushed, and it's Spider-Man
Spider
wasn't even
Man.
on. He wasn't even on the fucking like. He wasn't even on the plate. The only reason they're doing this is I don't even know why they're doing it, to be honest, because it was supposed to be
We're doing
Hulk.
it because of Sony. Sony wants the movie now. If
Sony wants the
Marvel, if
movie.
yeah, they need
Well,
another
it's a,
Spider Man
well,
movie out. So
there's a two part. So it's you're right. It's Sony, and then the other part is Tom Holland's movie slate is so busy that they have to
mhm,
do it now. So
yeah,
like, and the problem is Marvel doesn't have the creative control they used to have over these actors. So like for those who
yes,
don't. Like
yes,
back in the
yes,
day, Marvel was like,
yes,
"Look, I'm signing
yes,
you to six
yes,
movies," and in the
yes,
contract, they had all the leverage to be like, "When we say it's time, regardless of what you want to do, you come to us first." And these
right,
actors are like, well, bro, you used to pay me 10 million a movie. Well, now the budgets are lower. You're only paying me five now, and you want to tell me what to do? Hell no. So the contract leverage has shifted. So yeah, you're right. Like now these actors have more leverage to be like, you know what? No, fuck it. I'm doing Dune 4, Dune 3, or whatever. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They have
yeah,
projects and
yeah,
stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, Marvel
yeah.
has to
I
leverage
mean,
with the actors, and that's why that you
and
know.
I think you hit the nail on the head and everything. I was just thinking about that today. I mean, the Marvel don't have that 9 or 6 to 9 film
Picture deal
contracts like
anymore.
they
Nope.
did deals and
Nope.
everything. They
I
even
think
said right
Tom
after
Holland's the
Endgame,
last. He's the last one. Tom
yeah,
Holland's
he's
the
the
last
last one.
actor that's tied,
Yep.
and I think he only has
Hmm.
one more after this.
Right. Oh man, I think he extended it after
He
the
does.
first three.
So, yep.
You know.
Yeah. So he has this whatever brand new day. Then he has one more film he's supposed to be in, and after that, he can do what he wants.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if
So
that's a good or bad thing. It's a bad thing for fans because you have so much inconsistency, when you don't have the same actors popping up and you don't have the same stuff. but it's great for actors because they're not tied down to like studio demands and stuff. So
Correct.
I don't know who's like the winner out of that, but
Yeah,
because this whole thing is still a big experiment trying to connect
it is.
TV
Yeah.
shows and movies and stuff and trying to go about that. Who knows? Once we start talking about Superman, we'll be talking about DCU stuff and what
Correct.
James Gunn is over there and everything. So when we get
Mm.
to that, we'll be talking
Right.
about that. But Marvel made the made the plate. They made the template.
Correct.
How these things should go. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
But
We'll
you're
see
right.
how
Yeah,
Doomsday ends up coming.
we are. But like I said, it's soon. I mean, with Spider-Man being a street level movie, like we're saying, leading into Doomsday, with this movie, like it makes you wonder, like, how does this? They'll make it make sense, I guess, but how does this all tie together? Because the Punisher, they're doing street level stuff. I'm hearing. As far as the villains, I'm guessing that's going to be Ned. He's going to be the Hobgoblin because they're doing more street level Rhino, a lot
Hmm.
more traditional, amazing Spider-Man stuff, which is why Sony's more
Yeah.
involved because they're saying we want to
Right.
do this movie and we're putting the amazing Spider-Man villains in there. Craven the Hunter is probably going to be in there. All those characters that they
Oh
wasted money
wow.
on their
Okay.
projects. So yeah, they're doing a lot more street level stuff with this movie. So um, yeah, I don't
If
know. I
they're
mean,
doing
it's like I
Craven, are they
said,
going to get Aaron Taylor Johnson to do
his
Craven or
that thing that just leaked, that little like warthog type vehicle, that's either
yeah?
one of the Craven the Hunter vehicles, or they're saying that's the Punisher's anti-Hulk vehicle, which would lead into World War Hulk, which was supposed to
Huh.
be out before Doomsday. That's not coming out now. I mean, there's supposed to be two more movies, but like I said, I don't know. I think they're going to rush into
Interesting.
Doom. And obviously we talked about before the bonus trailer for the Thunderbolts that was the
Hmm.
ship that
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like
What 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 what
so
is that
how
all about
so
and
how do you
everything?
tie that together, right? Because there was there was the time frame of that was after this movie, but then we're not going to
Hmm.
see anything until Doomsday because I doubt that Spider-Man will lead into. I mean, it's going to lead into it, but you know what I mean? How does this?
Yeah, I mean, you were thinking like with what we saw in Thunderbolts and everything that it was gonna be Fantastic Four was gonna answer that question on
Correct.
who was in that ship. But I mean, usually Marvel would have did that back before Endgame. They're not doing it. We have to wait until like Doomsday to see how it plays out. I believe Doomsday is going to be a good movie. It's not going to be a
Oh,
Infinity War
so
Endgame type of thing,
I don't know,
but
man. The Russos wouldn't have came back if it's not going to be as good, bro. I don't think the Russos are their type. And remember, it's been delayed another 6 months. So, I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I mean they got time enough, but I don't think we've had enough of a relationship with. I don't know what type of story they're coming up with, and like I said, and actually, I don't know if I'm being hypocritical or contradicting what I said earlier. I'm speculating based on
mhm,
all this stuff on what the movie's going to end up being when I haven't even seen the movie yet.
right.
So it's just a
It's
fan.
weird, bro.
You're just really you're really hoping that thing is going to get back on track based on the stuff that we've gotten before, that
Right.
we could be getting up till now and everything, which has haven't
Yeah.
really been great as far as from the MCU.
Yeah. And then, kind of like, finishing up with the discussion on that, you kind of this whole Fantastic Four leading into that, like, there's just because obviously this is the 818 universe, which is an alternate, so I get it, right? And they're gonna
Hmm.
whatever somehow find their way to 616 but yeah, like there's the two Avengers teams, I guess, kind of with the Thunderbolts and then the Cap,
Hmm.
whatever he's built. But you're right. And there's one more movie, and we haven't got Shang-Chi 2. I'm guessing he's going to be one of the event. You know what I mean? I just think
Yeah, I mean they're all going to be in there.
you're leading into it this time. I just think with Fantastic Four being in another universe, and they're superheroes, but they're more kind of like viewed as mutant kind of like heroes. You know what I mean? They're more
Hmm.
like on the X-Men side. So you're right. I just wish after this movie ended that there were maybe one to two more movies to kind of lead up to Doom. Like the
I,
Thanos
I,
stuff,
I,
the build up is just going to be too quick for me.
the
I like it,
the
but I just
build. Yeah, they may resolve that in the movie itself, knowing that they don't have a really good build up, which may
right.
satisfy fans. And going back to a point where you're saying earlier, it's really hard to get those casuals back,
Yeah,
and they're not really going to these movies. Hence the this is that we really talked about. The movie Fantastic Four had a really good, first weekend and then dropped big time,
right.
almost 60%, like second
Why?
weekend.
Why?
So
Because
it's
we
like,
seen it and we were done.
right,
Which
right,
is
right. The diehards came in. The diehards, me and T-Mitch and
we
Game
were there.
Freakness and everybody else, they
Yeah.
went and seen it. But the regular casuals that were super into like the MCU stuff, it's like they burned so many times by this stuff that they're staying home and waiting until the stuff comes out on video on demand before they actually make their decisions and stay. And ticket prices been rising and stuff. I mean, I don't blame them. I don't blame them
I,
at all. I
I
mean,
I don't know. I get it. I
these
mean,
movies, these movies are super expensive to take a family to, man.
right.
If you're an individual, I can see, but you're spending almost $80 on
Oh,
some
for
of
sure.
these movies and
For
everything.
tickets?
You're
Yeah. Yeah, you and
uh,
the kids, or you and the wife, and a family, average American family of four. Yeah, bro, it's
mhm.
80 to get in plus a drink in it, bro. We're well over
Plus
100.
so,
It's like
oh
going, it's
yeah,
bro, it's
yeah,
going, it's going to
already over
Disney.
100.
It's a day at Disney, bro. So which is crazy,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
and the movie better be damn good. So
right
so that
for that.
stuff,
So yeah. But yeah, you're right. It's crazy when you break it down like. But even Feige messed up again, and this is where I think that they're going wrong. Is in during the last San Diego Comic Con and press lead up.
Mhm.
I think one of his big notions were that he don't want fans to have to do homework to watch the movies anymore. And I was like, but
I'm so
we
glad you
like.
brought that up, man.
Bro, I was sitting there like, dude, you're losing me because like that's what made the Infinity Saga so good that you knew like it. First off, we know what that does for from a shareholder. It ensures that me and you have to then rewatch these movies, which a stream does how much for Disney. That's how when he said it, I was thinking like, bro, you're killing your product because now you're telling a person that you don't have to go back and watch the other shit. Just watch this and you'll be able to catch up. So
T
you
T Mitch, isn't the whole conceit of this whole experiment the fact that you have to do homework? I thought that. I mean, what are we doing here?
bro, when he
When you
said
have
that, like.
sequels, when you have a sequel, don't you got to do homework to see that first movie to catch
Bro,
up? I mean,
when he said that,
I think the whole homework thing came about when it was doing Star Wars. I think I talked about this on one of the Star Wars podcasts.
he
The term
did.
homework came up because when Filoni did Ahsoka,
Right,
and said that it took place after everything that you've seen in like Star Wars and the Clone Wars and the
right.
Bad Batch and etc. and stuff that you've seen on TV. People were complaining that okay, well, we're not coming in fresh to see this character. We actually have to do homework. You know,
Right.
as fans actually complaining that they had to they thought they had to watch the cartoons or the animated stuff, I should say, and they were pretty insulted by that fact and started saying, "I don't want to do homework." So I
Yeah,
think this
yeah,
term has really,
yeah.
just lost its whole, it's just gotten too far into like the whole thing. When really the whole conceit of if you're in these genres, if you're into this stuff, you can't really you have to I'm not saying that you have to do homework, but the whole conceit of it is that there's backstories to everything that you're seeing on screen. So if you choose to go into it as fresh as possible, that's fine. But it's not necessarily necessary unless you want to actually, do the stuff. And
No,
like T-Mitch is saying, Disney is making a profit if you're going back their streaming platform and watching this stuff over. And what are you watching anyway?
right.
You're
Well,
watching stuff
I just
on
don't get
streaming
it.
stuff
Like
all
yeah, when he says that though, like so you're dumbing the
the. Yeah,
movies
you're
down,
using all right.
which loses me, right? But on the flip side, you have to like so let's just take it outside of here. So when you're watching this finally after fucking 12 years, Stranger Things
Right.
season 5, you don't have
Right.
so you're just gonna watch season 5 and just forget it. Like, come on
Right,
now.
right, right. That's homework. That's what I said. If you're watching a sequel, don't you have to watch the first one just to see
Correct.
how things came about? Like you
Bro,
said, say
I
Stranger
hope,
Things
yeah.
season 5. Go watch that other stuff, if you've
Correct.
never been into Stranger Things. But no, you want to mention this no homework thing as if it's like, okay, it's a call out to like the casuals. Now you can come back. It's a selling
Right.
point, and it's insulting to
Yes.
us, the diehards that come to see your stuff at the first week, that this stuff is not going to be connected, that this stuff is you're like you said, it's going to dumb down a lot of
It
the stuff
does.
that we see for the diehards, and you're gonna please everybody, end up pleasing nobody.
And bro, and you know what? Now that we think about, he said that. That's what made the bonus, the trailer, so bland, right? Because like you're dumbing it down because you could have really made that impactful scene kind of like they did in the Thunderbolts. That was kind of like you see the ship and then you then show Doom, like, but you're dumbing it down so much so people could be like, "There's a ship." And most casuals don't tie that ship, and then we see Doom. So they're like, you're saying that what they're doing is they're starting to lose us, and that's going to be the problem because we buy the toys, we drive the merchandise, we are the consumer. So if anything, Disney should have learned this from Star Wars that trying to cater too much will severely damage your product. So
Yes,
there,
yes, yes, yes. And Star Wars is a whole universe. So
correct.
I mean, it's just a whole world. So the whole conceit of Star Wars, it's a historical. It's each story that you tell in the Star Wars universe is a historical event. You're
Correct.
telling historical stories. Marvel and DC and DC don't. It's not the same type of linear thing.
No,
These
no,
characters last. When characters die in Star Wars, they're gone. They're not really brought
correct,
back all like that and everything. You just have a history of the different events that happen in different time periods, stories that are
correct,
being told in those periods of time. So that's why it's like a Bible and a history to keep
correct,
things on track and everything. So if you're going into watching Star Wars, the whole conceit is that that is the whole history. Now you can watch
correct,
something like Andor, not really be a hardcore Star Wars fan and
correct,
still really get the whole gist of what Andor, and the whole subject matter of what that's talking about without having to delve in like the first the trilogy, start
correct,
the sequel trilogies and all
right,
that stuff. Andor is its own thing, but it still takes place in a universe. Um,
correct. But
it's
even
just what
so,
it is.
then when you talk about homework, like, bro, you're telling me that people didn't watch Andor like we do. You didn't watch Rogue One. You didn't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Oh man,
Maybe just
yeah,
maybe he was just having a moment on stage. I don't know. Maybe he didn't talk to his publicist before he said that. This is why. And honestly,
it was
Sally,
the wrong thing to say. It was the wrong thing to say, and that's virtue. Is you talking about virtue sickness? It's just signaling. It's signaling to us fans, the diehards and everything, the ones that's actually bringing you. And we're actually the ones that bring in the casuals. I don't know if you know that.
we are. We're
When
inviting
we
them to the
say it,
theater.
when we say it's cool, the casuals think, okay, yeah, maybe it's something I need to see too. So now you're going to
Right.
say that that you don't need to do any homework. That's all it's telling us. It's saying that you're just going to dumb this stuff down to try to please the casuals who are really just who are really casually spending, but you're being ultra greedy. You're never going to
Yeah.
get that in-game money. That's not coming back.
No.
That's not, you're not going to do that again. That's
No.
just a moment in time. But American
Oh yeah.
capitalism dictates
Right.
that you have to do your best to try to get back to that.
Right.
So
Right.
you're
Right.
doing things, saying dumb things about not doing any homework and everything. So
Right. Yeah.
that
Yeah. I
was a
don't.
business
That was
comment.
correct. Especially when this movie came out and there was already enough, backlash. And then we talk about, Rotten Tomatoes, bro, and how like how rigged they are. Like I don't even want to get into that anymore, bro. These guys, like, it's already came out that these guys are already getting paid, and people were review
Uh,
bombing movies. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like you're right.
everybody has an opinion. You can't really trust everything that's out there. Go see the movie. Make your
Please
own
do.
opinion.
Please do.
Go, comment on your social media platform
Right.
afterwards. The stuff actually floats up. So
It does.
if you're on the scene and everything, you can tell when something is there and everything. You could tell for real from the fake and everything. So
Yeah.
but I mean, just to really just wrap it up and everything. As far as this movie and everything, I thought it was a really good movie. It could have been
Yeah.
better. It could have been longer. It
Yeah.
could have been
Hmm.
some ways to make it breathe a little bit more.
but I was very
Yeah.
satisfied at the end.
Same. Yeah, I was very satisfied. I'm happy what they did with the ending. I hope that this was the way that Ant-Man and the Wasp what should have ended with Kang. That maybe they push him or he gets stuck again in the because based on the ending of this, that they just pushed him into a black hole and he's going to have a harder time now finding him because he's in some far distant galaxy. So yeah, he's still alive. There's still a big possibility that with his cosmic level ability that he can make it back. So they didn't kill him off. They kind of just tricked him a little bit. So we can't say that they really defeated him. They just kind of swerved him a little bit. So no, I was happy with the ending, happy with the movie. A little short for me, but like I said, we've talked about the last two, even with Captain America. These have been more kind of safe projects, and we
Yeah,
talked about it, right? With the budget cuts, hint why you're pissing us off because the budget cuts even become more when we don't come to see the movie. But yeah, with the budget cuts, I get it. They cut the run times down and they maybe move movies around because of whatever. We talk
yeah,
about
yeah. I
schedules and
mean,
whatnot, but
right,
you know,
right.
we'll see. I mean, I'll
It
say
is what
this
it is.
in closing though, and I told you this before, and I'm going to say this for the new viewers, and this is going to be very staunch. If Marvel keeps fucking around, DC is on your neck. That's just a warning.
Hey, just
I
just
said
just
this
just
with
like
the
how
Batman.
just like
I
how it is in the
told you this with
comics.
I told you this with the Batman coming out and the sequels coming.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Marvel's playing this game like, yeah, we run the segment based on we're gonna get into our other reviews. Like I said, keep fucking around because you will get
But
replaced quick.
you know what competition does? It makes the product that much better. So that
We
means
hope.
that if
We
DC
hope.
ends up, well, yeah, we hope. But
We hope.
generally, if you have two competing products and one is, and everything's playing out like how it did in the comics period and everything.
Right. Yeah.
One falls, the other one rises, and then it's just a market thing. So eventually,
Yeah.
it's DC's turn. It's DC's turn
Trust,
to make
trust me.
for their time to shine and everything. Marvel is going to take note and definitely make this X-Men
Yeah.
thing because X-Men is going to be
Oh, put it this way.
their
They
final thing.
have to.
They have to hit with that.
They
That
have
has
to.
to be a hit. That has to be a
Just
hit,
like
or else it's just over.
just like for most who don't know, just like Wesley Snipes saved all of this, which I know a lot of
Hmm.
people, 99% of people don't even realize. Stan Lee literally told him this story. I heard this on a
Hmm.
podcast
Hmm.
recently, and he told him before he died. Literally, people don't understand how significant Blade was. It is
Oh yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
all of Marvel.
But
Like they were going bankrupt.
Blade gave them the courage to X Men because you never got X Men if it wasn't for Blade.
They were going bankrupt. He was literally going to sell the
Yeah.
company to 21st
Hmm.
Century Fox fully. They had no money.
Mm.
Blade was a success, and then
Mm.
he was,
Mm.
yeah. Stan Lee almost let everything go, and Blade was like the beginning of this whole stuff, which is, nice that we got to kind of the homage, and hopefully that movie's still alive. We all know, so but we'll discuss that on another show. It's still like on the back burner, but yeah, it was great to come
So,
back and chat about this
oh yeah,
story again, man. It's great.
it was awesome. So did we answer the question? Did Marvel finally make FF hit, or did they miss it this time? What do you think? Was it a hit or a miss?
I think it was a hit based on, yeah,
I
the
agree.
characters.
I
It
agree.
was a hit for
I
sure.
agree.
There were,
I agree.
you
Based on the other versions that we got before this,
oh,
I
for
think they
sure,
finally hit. I think they
for
finally hit
sure,
it. So they
for
finally
sure.
got something. And I'm looking forward to seeing them in the future.
Yeah,
Thank everybody for for coming on, and thank Game Freakness for for commenting and everything. Thank you
for
for
sure, man. Appreciate it.
everyone else for checking us out. Thank you again,
For
T-Mitch, and
sure,
thank
man.
for our
Anytime.
shout out to our Carbon Night Commander PS crew. We'll be back with some more
We
Star Wars
will.
content pretty
We'll be
soon.
back soon,
But
guys. We will be.
we'll be make sure that you keep checking this channel and like and subscribe
For sure.
to the
We'll be uploading a lot
Nerdcyclopedia.
more stuff.
So we'll be talking about like a lot more stuff. We got a backlog
We got a lot. We do.
of movies and stuff. So we'll be
We
catching
do.
us pretty soon. Thank you guys.
Thank you.